What's up, guys? Trevor with eCommerce Paradise. Today I'm going to go over 15 product ideas in the home appliances niche to give you some head start when it comes to choosing which product you want to sell online. If it's your first time watching one of my videos, definitely subscribe to the channel. Without further ado, let's get into the video. All right, so this store that I'm looking at is called Home Outlet Direct. This store is going to give us a really good idea on the products that we can sell online. And just from their homepage, you can see that they have like some best-selling brands right off the bat. Forno, Z-Line, Thor, Ilvi, Mr. Cool, and Senville. Since they're listing these brands right here at the top of their homepage, it's definitely pretty safe to make the assumption that they're best-selling brands. So those are some of the top selling brands right there you can go after, which is a huge head start because finding brands online is super easy. You just go to Google, you search for the brand name, and then you try to find their website, try to find a kind of dealer sign up page or contact us, and you just try to contact them however you can. Cold email these days doesn't work as well. A lot of it goes to spam. So what I recommend doing is you either call them or you fill out a dealer application form on their website if they have one, or just a contact form. All right, and then here's some product ideas within home appliances. 'Cause home appliances is a pretty big niche, and if you just go on Google Shopping and you type home appliances, it's going to give you so many different things and probably a lot of name brands you're not going to be able to drop ship. So for drop shipping specifically, you want brands that are drop ship friendly. So you want to find, first of all, websites that are already doing it in your niche to kind of vet to make sure it works for you. Home Outlet Direct is one that happens to be a dropshipping site I already know about, so I'm making this video because I already know these guys are dropshipping, and all their brands are dropshipping brands, and so, you know, right here are the best-selling dropshipping brands in this niche. And this is also a very big, broad niche, so just keep in mind that these brands and these categories are going to have tons and tons of SKUs to sell, and it's going to make it quite difficult to update their catalogs because, you know, you have to update inventory, you have to update pricing. Inventory, you know, you can take back orders, right? And then, or if, you know, orders come in and people just want to cancel because it's out of stock, fine, no problem, just cancel it. Just make sure you turn your setting in Shopify to manually capture payments. Don't automatically capture payments because these days you don't get refunded the credit card processing fees. All the processors changed that like 3 or 4 years ago. So just make sure you do that. And if you want to manage inventory, there's an app in Shopify called Stock Sync that works really good for that. You'll just have to use the supplier spreadsheet, you plug it in, and then it updates your website. So a little bit of a hack there, but really what you got to focus on when you're doing this business, especially if you're a small business, a solo entrepreneur, have a small team, is focusing on priorities. Priority number one would just be focusing on doing, updating, and all the marketing for the best-selling brands. That's kind of the first thing. The next thing, you know, for sure, don't work on stuff unless it's like absolutely necessary to work on it. So what I would say is, like, if you have like a price sheet that comes in from a supplier, it's like, oh, we're running a promo for, you know, 2 weeks, but it's not one of your best sellers, then I probably wouldn't even, you know, worry about it. I'd probably just focus on building and getting things ranked more for your best-selling suppliers. But here we go. Let's get beyond that. Number one is appliance packages. So packages are really popular with high-ticket dropshipping because, you know, a standalone product, like let's say a range, is probably going to be like $2,000 to $3,000, maybe up to $5,000. But if you sell a range with a range hood, a dishwasher, and a refrigerator, you know, you got a $3,000 to $4,000 range right here. $2,000 to $3,000 refrigerator, so you're already up to like $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. $1,000 range hood, $8,000, you know, $1,000 or $2,000 dishwasher. So maybe you got like a 10K total package right here. Okay, so 10K. The other cool thing about that is that the more products that someone orders in one shipment, suppliers can bulk ship those onto like pallets, right? And it generally will cost you less to ship a package as opposed to just a standalone product. So, you know, oddly enough, but, you know, for instance, like it might cost you like $200, $300 to ship this range, but it might only cost you like $500 or $600 to ship all 4 of these products. So you see how, like, it would cost you like $200, $300 to ship this, $100 to ship that, another couple $100 to ship that, and like $100 to ship that, right? So altogether, if they ordered standalone separately, it would cost, you know, almost $1,000 for shipping. But if you order it all at once, it probably costs you about half that, maybe. So that's kind of the huge benefit there. So what I would definitely go after in the beginning is the low-hanging fruit stuff that people are going to buy that's going to make you the most money, so you can take that money you make, reinvest a portion of it into your business to grow it. So appliance packages are great. Just keep in mind, like in this niche, again, there's so many SKUs, so many different package options. There's colors, there's, different versions of the hardware you can choose. So there's so many different options here. There's just tons of stuff. So just keep in mind that, like, you can use an app like Copy, Kopy, for instance, to extract the listings from any, Shopify store, like Home Outlet Direct, for instance. You can use it. But, things change over time. And so you're going to have to just keep in mind that, like, oftentimes when orders come in, and you haven't updated the listings in like 2-3 months, maybe since you imported them, prices are going to be different, right? So you're going to have this like whole negotiation process with the customer, which is usually why on the product page, and I'll show you in a minute, these guys have it too, you always want to put your phone number on your website and just have like a call to action that's really clear, like, hey, call us to get the best deal, or call us to make sure it's in stock, or just call us. Because once you get someone on the phone, it's so much easier to go through the whole process with them, where initially you really have to go through a quoting process. You have to quote them the price of the product, quote them the price of shipping, and they're going to do a whole back and forth, and then, you figure out the price that makes sense, and you give them a little bit better offer than the competitor, that kind of thing. You just try to build rapport with them so they like you, and then they feel more comfortable ordering from you than with somebody they don't know, So building trust is really important in this business. High ticket, that's just how it works. High ticket sales, it's all about building rapport and building trust. And once you build rapport with, other businesses, like, let's say in this niche should be like contractors or home designers, that kind of stuff, then you're going to have a really, really cool set of customers that are going to order from you over and over again. You'll give them a little bit better discount, but they're people you can trust more, that aren't like as likely to file chargebacks and disputes, that are more likely to work easier with you when things show up damaged or something like that. Because that's another big thing in this niche. Things can show up damaged, and then you have to kind of do it back and forth between the supplier and the customer to make sure they get taken care of. So anyway, let's get beyond that. So standalone categories here, ranges, obviously there's all different types. You can see there's like smaller ones here, there's bigger ones. Ranges are really popular. People need to cook stuff in their home, and, they need like a nice oven and all that. So, some of those top brands, again, Forno, Z-Line, Thor, Ilvi, those are top range brands. Sometimes they're a little bit hard to get a hold of because they're bigger companies, but, just go to their website, fill out, do their form once you have a website up, and, see if you get, accepted. All right. And then also Home Outlet Direct, they have like all these different appliance categories because they're all about like different things in the home. So mini splits are a big thing because it's like an air conditioning system that doesn't require all the duct work and stuff of a ducted air conditioning system. So it's really easy, just like kind of install it, plug a hose into it, boom, turn it on, and it's done. So mini splits are really popular, especially in tiny homes. Here in Bali where I live, almost every house has a mini split just because it's a lot less expensive to run these things than it is like a ducted air conditioning system where, you can choose the thermostat and then like it changes all the rooms in the house. Not so much in the U.S. In the U.S., a lot of homes are built with ducted systems. It's just kind of like a more luxury experience, but this is great for cost savings. So, yeah, mini splits are super popular. And the prices range like $1,000 to $3,000 on average. So, maybe as low as like $700. So, really good category to jump into. There's standalone sites that just sell mini splits too, so you can definitely get into that. There's a few best-selling brands. Mr. Cool is one of them, and Sunville is another. All right, smaller appliances like espresso machines in this example, mixers. Definitely a great thing to sell. With espresso machines and coffee makers, there's like way bigger versions of them that are made for like, businesses and all that. So there's a whole like commercial niche there, and that kind of goes into saying like almost every niche in high ticket dropshipping, high ticket e-commerce is going to have a commercial side to it, like a B2B side and a consumer side. People buy things for their house or their home, and then people buy things for their businesses or small businesses. In this case, a coffee shop or something like that, or some other store or business that wants to have like an espresso machine or a coffee maker in it. You can let your imagination or do some research, do the work. But yeah, so grills, another great category. Mostly, home buyers, homeowners that have a outdoor patio area. There's tons of standalone stores in the grills niche. It's a huge category, obviously very summer, seasonal. But, an outdoor kitchen, outdoor furniture kind of goes along with that. Outdoor fireplaces, all kind of the patio area. So those are some great ideas for niches there. All right, guys, if you're looking for help with starting, building, and scaling a high-ticket dropshipping business where you're using high-ticket products to sell and make profits online in a passive way, look no further than our eCommerce Paradise Patreon. Go to patreon.com/eCommerce Paradise. Link is in the description below. You can get access to our entire high-ticket dropshipping masterclass, as well as all of our niche research videos. These are videos that shows competitors and suppliers in each of these niche idea areas. The videos that I'm making on YouTube are basically ideas, product ideas, but I go a lot deeper in here and show you more categories, more competitors, more suppliers. You can join for free. There's also membership options where you can join a mastermind group that is a Discord access, a private Discord access. And that will allow you to talk directly with me on a daily basis and get, tips or ideas or advice for how you can move forward. Also, if you look at our collections, I have a high-ticket supplier directory available, ecom templates kit, and I do sell the Masterclass with the templates standalone as well. But there's a ton of content in here, and I'm making content every day. So definitely go check that out, guys. And without further ado, let's get back into the video. So let's look at some more categories here. I just want to give you some advice because I've been doing this stuff for a long time. So what works really well, what doesn't, what's difficult, what's high margin, what's low margin, stuff like that. So you're going to find, first of all, you're going to find in every niche that there are suppliers that have high margins and suppliers that have low margins. You're also going to find that there are suppliers that have products with high margins and products with low margins. You're also going to find that every supplier works differently. Okay, with high-ticket dropshipping, you're specifically working directly with the manufacturers or some sort of a distributor that works with several manufacturers. And there's never going to be just one supplier. You could potentially get hooked up with a distributor and just sell those brands from that one distributor, but it's going to limit you greatly because if that particular distributor happens to be out of stock on a product at one time, you're not going to have any more options to go with. And that's why we always like to get as many different suppliers as possible because oftentimes there's stock out issues because we don't control the inventory, okay? The supplier does. And you're never going to be able to completely sync up with the supplier's inventory either. Even using tools like Inventory Source, which I recommend getting set up with, link is in the description below, or StockSync, for example, things aren't going to be perfectly aligned. There's always going to be issues. Even at the supplier's warehouse, sometimes they're going to have things that aren't aligned. So even if, the inventory is updated on your site and you make a sale and it says 5 or 10 are in stock, and the supplier maybe, their intake was off for whatever reason, and their inventory is messed up. So things happen, okay? I've seen everything in this business. But just to be clear, right off the bat, you're never going to be able to determine just through the initial research process as to like what categories are going to be super profitable or not. The only thing you can determine is which products and suppliers are best sellers, and that's just based on competitor research. You're going to have to build out a website. You're going to have to get accounts set up with these dealers and manufacturers and suppliers, manufacturers and distributors. You're going to have to get those accounts set up in order to see the pricing, okay? They're not going to give you the price sheet before they set up an account and vet your business. It comes after. So it's like a whole setup process. That's why I usually recommend talking over the phone, first of all, just to get an idea, because like if you talk to them, the supplier, you can ask, hey, I got a website looking to sell your products, but I just want to know before I get set up, what is your general profit margin? Are you working like 10, 15%? Or are you working like 20, 30, 40%? And do you charge your dealers to ship out the products, or do you offer the shipping for free? Because that makes a huge difference. Okay, sometimes shipping costs can completely ruin your margins. So even if you have like a product that's got a 30, 40% margin, if it costs, $500 to $1,000 to ship it, for example, like one of these big ranges right here could cost a lot of money, or not range, but refrigerators right here, big commercial style refrigerators, they can cost like upwards of $500 to $1,000 to ship. So even if you have $500 to $1,000 in margin, that can get all eaten up by the shipping costs. So you just have to really keep that in mind. That's why I usually recommend extracting as much from your competitors, your top competitors, as possible. Like in this niche, Home Outlet Direct is definitely a top competitor. So extracting like prices, like for example, you get a price sheet from your supplier, and it's going to be a MAP pricing, minimum advertised pricing price sheet, plus they charge shipping, okay? But if you list at MAP, sometimes the margins aren't going to be enough to cover shipping. It just is what it is. They expect their dealers to charge shipping on top of the prices that they sell at. So you have to be really clear about that. And from your competitors that are the top oldest competitors, you'll usually be able to see that, okay, these guys are charging a higher price, so I should too. Now, keep in mind that also sometimes older suppliers can get better pricing because they have volume discounts with the supplier. They've done a business for a long time, so they get a little bit better pricing, so they can sell a little bit lower cost than you can. So then you have to come in, if you want to make that sale, you got to provide more value in one way or another. And the best way to provide value is to take what is already included in that package, in that product, and break it down into a list of things that sound like bonuses. Give it a dollar value, and then, make that a big point on your sales page. Like if it comes with a warranty already, just make a big deal out of that warranty. If it comes with like a accessory or something like that. Make a big deal out of that. Make a big deal out of the fact that you're doing curbside shipping, even though it isn't the most amazing thing. But it's like curbside shipping included, normal price $200 or something like that. It's like a marketer's trick. It's the best way you can do it. Next best way you can do it, of course, is provide someone to talk to on the phone during business hours, either yourself or a call center or a virtual assistant. But yeah, definitely, somebody who understands the products, somebody ideally who is a native American speaker, English speaker from the US or wherever you happen to sell. That's going to provide tons of value right there, because then they're going to be able to talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about and can help them get through stuff and troubleshoot and be a good problem solver. All right, so let's get on with it. Beverages and beverage centers and wine coolers are really popular. You'll find a lot of standalone stores just doing wine coolers and stuff like that, because they are just so popular. It's like a whole niche in of itself is wine and wine products. So there's wine coolers, there's wine beverage centers that are like mixed, so like wine and beer can go in the same fridge. They just have separate things. They have fridges that are dual zone, where there's like red wine and white wine, because they're stored at different temperatures. There's clear fronts, there's concealed fronts. There's also wine cellars and wine cellar cooling units and wine, all sorts of stuff. It's ridiculous. Wine racks. So explore the wine niche. If you like wine, if you're a wine drinker, if you enjoy wine, this might be a great niche for you. Just keep in mind the same things apply. Some suppliers have high margins, some low. Some products have high margins, some low. You really want to find a category within a category, ideally, that is underserved, and really go after that. So if you think that like a wine cellar category, like a store specifically targeting wine cellars, could be really good, and you do the research, you find out there's not too many competitors, there's information that is vital that's not being provided in a easy to consume format. If there's some kind of a opening, an opportunity, you got to find an opportunity in any niche, because if you just go after the same thing everybody else is doing, you're going to get burnt out. You're not going to get the sales. You're going to end up getting calls. You don't know how to answer the questions. People are going to be calling you after they already talked to the top competitors that are doing more advertising than you, and you're just going to get the scraps. So, try to find a category that is underserved and you can be a category killer. And as a solo entrepreneur, that's the best way to do it, because high ticket, there's just so many big box stores, big businesses. If you try to start home outlet, home outlet, direct2.com, for example, don't do that. But if you try to start a store like this, as a solo entrepreneur, you're going to get burnt out. There's just too many products to keep track of, too many suppliers, too many categories. Don't try to think like you got to throw everything at the wall to start. Okay, it's better to focus on a specific little sub niche category. And as a boutique store, people are going to appreciate that. Try to learn about the products. That's why I usually tell everybody, like, number one, make sure that there's somebody already selling it. Number two, make sure there's enough competitors, enough suppliers, so there's enough demand and supply and all that stuff. Make sure it's legitimate, like a niche where you can get suppliers and get those products on your website and sell them and make profits. But the third one is make sure it's something that you have some experience with, or some willingness to learn about, or some passion about, because that's going to just drive you to be able to make this something that you can not only market online, but also share with your friends, share with your family, talk to people about, like, for example, if you're a real estate agent, like I've dealt with a lot of real estate agents. It's a great idea to have a store like this where you have, furniture or, appliances, things like that. Then you have a whole business there that you can, because you're already networking with all these different real estate people, like designers and, brokers and all that stuff, that these people that know other people. So carry a card with you, or stickers, or whatever, pens, coffee mug or something. Give something to these people that you're hanging out with. Hey, this is my store. If you want to buy something for that house that you're developing, or this big, just network. You're going to get business to business customers that way, clients basically, and you're going to be able to make a lot more money that way. So keep in mind, obviously, every business should be separated. Number one, with your finances. Number two, you should hire somebody specifically to manage this business if you're already doing something else. Unless, again, you start in the very, very, very sub niche. Like, for example, if you have like a wine store already, and you want to like sell wine coolers on the side, well, that's actually not that difficult to do. Probably you can have a Shopify store. You can get a couple, 3-4 good suppliers. You run some Google Shopping ads and get some sales, and 1 or 2 hours a day, you're probably going to be able to make 20-30K a month or something like that. A couple $100,000 a year in sales. make maybe like 10K a year or something like that net profit. And it's a side hustle, right? It's not something that's going to make you rich, but it's a side hustle. And if you wanted to, then you could scale. So that's usually like how things go. Like my first year, I did like 50,000 in sales. My second year, I did 75. My third year, I did 100,000. My fourth year, finally got up past 100. Started doing like 300. Then the fifth year, I did 500,000 in sales. And then I sold my store, took a year off, started a new one. And then like 2 years later, 3 years later after that, I sold that one again. I started some new stores again, sold those again. And then during the pandemic, I started a new store. That one scaled up past like 500, 600,000 a month, all the way up to like 750,000 a month in sales, summer 2021. And then it petered off down to like, another 300,000 a month in summer 2022. And then I sold that store. And ever since then, I just kind of been helping clients. I started my own stores after that, but they never really scaled up. They got maybe to like 100,000 a month. But I sold them off because it's just too much work. But yeah, so just keep in mind, like as stores scale, it takes a lot more work to do. Okay, so there's going to be like a lot of different like bookkeeping, financing stuff. There's customer service stuff. There's support. There's warranty. There's updating the website, creating content, consistently. Going and fixing things that break, or putting out fires, things like that. There's just so many different things to do. It can get pretty crazy in these businesses. But if you're focused, determined, and consistent with it, you can do pretty well. So let's get into the next ones. Range hoods, good, but again, they go really well with these packages. But they do sell standalone quite a bit. $700, $1,000, $1,500 is like the average, and they're decent margins, usually 20-30%. Microwaves, decent, maybe $700 to $1,500. They sell in the packages a lot, sometimes standalone. Yeah. HVAC. So HVAC is a whole separate category. It's something kind of similar to mini splits, where you're dealing with, heating, ventilating, air conditioning, something that's going to power a whole home or a whole business or something like that. So it's a really like separate category almost. You could do a separate store just around HVAC stuff. Again, lots of B2B applications, so definitely consider that as its own separate thing. Maybe you have an HVAC company already where you service homes and stuff like that, so selling the products on the side is actually a great idea. Then you'll have products you can sell directly to your clients as well, maybe. So, yeah, consider that. All right, and then freeze dryers. This is really popular. People that do homesteading or do, like tiny house, tiny home living, or just, anybody who wants to basically freeze food to keep it longer. A lot of people do this in their home. A lot of businesses use these. They are, fairly low margins, like I think 15% pretty average, but they sell really well. So keep that in mind. It's a whole separate niche there. Okay, so something you can dive into if you want. And again, like a lot of these stores that people build, they'll start broad. Okay, and then they find like one or two categories sell really well or something like that. And so, you're going to be able to see on the websites what categories sell really well or are like very high profit. They're always going to be putting those first. So as you can see here, the ones that do really well are packages. And like here they have Black Friday. They kind of mess the menu up, but that's kind of like, important to do that. But they have packages first. So all the appliance packages, obviously it's high margin stuff, high ticket stuff. When they sell one, it's fantastic. They want to sell those as much as possible, so those are first. Ranges are next, hoods, appliance, the rest of the appliances, mini splits after that, HVAC, small appliances, grills, and outdoors fixtures. So like this particular store, that's how it's done. If you look at other competitors, and the way you can find competitors that also sell those products, you just go into one of these categories and copy and paste the products back into Google Shopping, and you'll be able to find more competitors. And again, if you guys want help figuring that out and how to do that, go to patreon.com/ecommerce paradise, and you'll be able to sign up for either our supplier directory or our actual like membership, and you'll be able to get in there and see how all this research is done, and then you can do it yourself as well. But yeah, so tons of good categories here, guys. For the seasonality stuff, you definitely want to consider seasonality sometimes, because like outdoor fireplaces are going to sell really well fall and winter, whereas like certain categories like outdoor furniture probably are going to sell better spring and summer. Okay, so just keep that in mind. When it comes to like recreational stuff, it really sells good spring and summer. Anything that's like outdoor and traveling, whereas like winter, it's going to be like more indoor. Mini splits can do heating and cooling usually, so like they'll be selling year round. So ideally, wine coolers is kind of the same thing. They sell year round. So ideally, you want to work with categories in the beginning that sell year round. If you get into a seasonal category, just know that there's going to be certain months of the year where your store is almost completely dead. And then there's going to be months of the year where it's just going absolutely insane. But you have to get used to that, okay? And go to google.com/trends to get an idea. All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. It's been kind of a long video already, but yeah, definitely subscribe to the channel and get into our Patreon. And if you have any questions, you can write me, ecommerceparadise@gmail.com. Or just go to Patreon, get in there. You can write me in there directly too. All right, thanks so much, and I'll see you out there. All right, guys, I hope the video was helpful. Home appliances, it's a very broad niche, lots of different categories, but you're going to be able to find so many different little ideas in there. Just find something that works for you. If you guys need help, definitely, contact me directly. Feel free. I'd love to help you out. And so definitely hit the link in the description. There's links for our Patreon. There's links for all of our recommended resources like Shopify and whatnot. Or just go to ecommerceparadise.com. It'll take you to our link tree that has all the different links in there that you can help out, get help with to grow and scale your e-commerce business. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.